I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game, not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
All right, guys, we're back again with another NBA pull-up. It's a special edition. We're here today specifically to talk about the trade deadline that just passed us. I think at 3 p.m. Eastern today, February the 10th. It's a big day. The NBA never disappoints. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Were you guys attached to your phone all afternoon? I honestly, I work from home. I hope my employer's not watching this, but it was very hard for me to get any work done. I was on my computer, I was on my phone, I was trying to get all the information because it seemed like one thing hit and then all the dominoes just fell from there and then just started trade after trade after trade. But were you guys plugged in all afternoon?
This morning when I woke up, I turned on my Twitter notifications. I didn't have them on. So this morning, I expected watch bombs. I expected some Shams bombs. They did not disappoint. Whatever he's calling it nowadays. Sham was getting the better of Watch for the most part, though, and he has been lately. We can get into that another day.
It's funny, though. I just on that real quick. It's funny because Sham would report, like, so-and-so gets traded from this team, and then Waj, not to be outdone, would either, like, add something onto that or do it from the other side and be like, oh, well, the Nets received Simmons instead of Harden, go the other way around, blah, blah, blah.
He would add in, like, the draft picks, maybe, that Shams left out.
Yeah.
The details that nobody, like, really gives a fuck about.
For sure. Real punctual to watch. Late, but punctual.
Nah, man, just I actually worked today and I didn't have my phone on. I was just keeping up with the group chat. Or I tried to. I had like 241 missed messages, so I assumed that the trade.
It's one of those days.
Yeah. So I assumed it, but shit, man, it feels good to be on with you guys. Justin couldn't join us today, but we had to get on because of the NBA trade deadline just went crazy yesterday and especially today. So welcome everyone who's watching. We're from Texas, the Valley, from San Antonio, from New Braunfels, and let's just get into it, man. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Who's never been here, cheers. If it's your first time watching or hearing or listening to us.
Cheers to this trade deadline episode.
And we are on Spotify, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can find us on Twitter also. And, for those of you guys who are watching us, I'm wearing a Spurs shirt. The Spurs were involved in some trades, but a team that was not involved, and Duran, I got to say, I like your
let's
poke
the barrel.
Before we get into the teams that actually did something today, I want to stop and talk about the Lakers. Ron, are you disappointed that your team was not involved in the trades? They're in the buyout market. That's what they said they're looking at.
They're looking towards the summer because
I'm done, bro. Like, I'm just gonna let the season play out. Like, I'm fucking done, bro. It's just a mess. When Magic Johnson says that he don't want to fuck with you no more, that's it, bro. You've done something wrong,
and that's because he fucks everything. So if he ain't trying to fuck with you.
And that's because they had the news about Jerry West and the Lakers' relationship being irreparable. That's not good PR right there.
Bro, James Worthy is their TV guy with Robert Horry after the games. And I mean, there's just been clips of him slumped over in disbelief. He's gone on a rant and had it with the Lakers as well. But it's crazy that they didn't make any move. There were some rumors out there about possibly like a Dennis Schroeder reunion.
God.
Yeah, possibly.
All the players in the league, and let's go get a guy that we've already had and has proven that he's not the one because we traded him away. But you know what? Maybe it'll work this time.
I think
that's the Lakers fucking mentality right now.
I think the tweet that I think you retweeted it, Ben, or you put it somewhere that they were looking for a fringe starter. That's what they were going for.
There was another one
that
that came out, but after the deadline that had Christian Wood and John Wall for Russell Westbrook and picks.
Dude, I would have
So
taken that. Wood's a beast, bro.
yeah, I've been saying the Lakers needed Wood or Eric Gordon, but crazy that the Lakers, after losing a game in yesterday, to a shorthanded Blazers team due to trading their team away and committing to the tank, and they come out there with Yusuf Nurkic and Anthony Simons and beat LeBron and AD. No Russ. The problem,
was
the
on the
reason
bench.
why the Lakers sucked. Didn't even play, so it was a LeBron and AD show, and now it's AD didn't show up. I think the Lakers, bro, with making no trades, I think that they're laying down. I think they're laying down. They're fed up with Russ. There's been so many clips of Russ on the bench trying to talk to them, and they're kind of just like, yeah, all right, whatever. Go sit down, dog. Late in the fourth quarter when he's trying to pump him up. Because he's been benched, he hasn't played the fourth quarters anymore. It's bad when your max $44 million player a year can't play the fourth quarter, dog.
Is this the Lakers' eulogy? Are we at their funeral right now? Is this it right now for the Lakers in 2022?
I just think that they're so far gone. They're so far gone that nobody wants their players. They make too much money, and I don't think how financially it makes sense for anyone to go and get one of their players or for them to work with the salary. It's just nobody wants them. The situation's bad. We're just gonna have to swallow the pill. Some miracle happens, and LeBron returns to his glory days. AD returns to bubble. AD, and we get a deep run. Hey, injuries. We've seen injuries can happen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen to the Lakers. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get a Toronto Raptors situation where, Kawhi wins it for them when they played against a team who was totally.
The thing is, their road in, I mean, they're probably going to be in the play-in for sure. If not, right now they're sitting at the 9th seed, 2 games back of the T-Wolves, I believe it is, and the Pelicans are right behind them. The Pelicans did make some moves that we're going to talk about. So the race is going to get tight, bro. There's a lot to figure out over there. And I know a lot of Lakers fans are saying, everybody just needs to be healthy and they need to figure it out. LeBron came out and said, that there's a lot of fog. They just got to get through the fog. The fog has to clear out. But if the fog, everybody in the Lakers thinks the fog is Russell Westbrook. If he ain't gone, the fog's going to stay there till summer. That's what's going to happen.
2 things, man. 2 things so I can end on the Lakers. One, we all know the NBA season is 2 parts: pre-All-Star game and post-All-Star game. So we'll see. However they come out after the All-Star game is going to determine how it's like coming out in the third quarter. You come out in the third quarter swinging, you got a chance to win the game. So we'll see, how that happens. 2, could it be like a Tom Brady situation for LeBron? Like, what else do you have to prove? You won in the East. You're arguably the top 2 greatest players of all time. You went to LA. You won, even though it was in the bubble. Like, what more? Do you need to prove?
He said he's going to stick around, though, Ron.
Of course,
he wants to play with his son.
Play with his son, and then after that, it's,
but you don't just toast till that, bro.
Yeah. Now, what concerns me the most is LeBron is still, for the most part, he's putting up numbers. And if you look at the box score, he's still getting his 25 a game. Still giving you his assists. He's still, he was impacting the game at center for a stretch here for the Lakers. And that's just the problem. I think the Lakers as an organization as a whole, and LeBron too, gets some blame here because we all know the nickname that's going around, Le GM, the general manager over here. They kind of failed him, and he's failed himself with the pieces that he's chosen to put around him. I know AD, when he's there, he's still the top 10-ish player. He got showed up big time against Giannis, I think, when they matched up there against the Bucks.
Oh, yeah.
But, otherwise, the Russell Westbrook move, that's a complete miss right now. But LeBron, he still can't impact the game that he used to. So I don't know if he can turn back the clock here. I know Ron's saying there's 2 seasons, and that's very true. Teams do turn it up towards the end of the year, but I just don't think they have it to turn up. Like, they're asking Malik Monk to be a consistent player, and we all know Malik Monk is as streaky as they come. When he's on, he's on, but when he's missing, he can't hit the, what's it called, the broadside of a barn or whatever the saying is. He just can't hit a bucket.
Pope.
He's a little offensively a little bit more skilled than KCP, but he doesn't give you much on defense where KCP helped out there. And Guys like THT, Taylor Horton-Tucker, been a big whiff for them this year. They were trying to get rid of him. I just don't see it for the Lakers this year. Even if LeBron somehow decides to turn back the clock for a little bit, even then, I still don't know if it's going to be enough in a 7-game series.
If they just couldn't get up for the game last night, bro, the game where they were 9-point favorites, no rust. Like,
and it's a
how
shame
can you not beat these guys, bro?
It's a shame because LeBron is still giving you good minutes, good numbers. Like, if they actually were doing their part.
His points per game prop betting is like 28, 29.
Yeah,
he's still doing his job, still getting his numbers.
But it's not translating into dubs because they can't be relying on LeBron to be dropping 30 in February and January. They need that in March and June, bro.
Dude, Vogel's so done too. Like, you see him at the press conferences, dude does not want to be there.
It sucks that they're wasting, or LeBron again gets blame here in terms of the roster decisions, but they're wasting away the last good years of LeBron James because he still is giving us good moments, but going to be in vain because he's not going to win another title.
Hey, this is way too much fucking Lakers.
That's about 10 minutes.
Trade deadline in a trade deadline where they didn't make a damn.
Patrick Beverly said, "If Brown wants to play, we gonna play." And we'll leave it at that. And get into these trade.
We pulled up the graphic here for those of you guys that are watching. We got our little game plan. We're gonna go over all the big trades and then end with some talk there at the end. And get into some business about Sunday and lead you guys on to some things that we might be talking about in the next few days. But without further ado, let's get to the big trade. The trade that I don't think – what's that?
Run it down first.
Oh, you want me to run it down?
Listeners, for the audio-only people.
For the audio-only guys, we're going to go
audio-only
guys. The pretty big trades here, the Harden and Simmons swap with Brooklyn and Philly. We're going to do the Sabonis and Halliburton trade that happened, I think, yesterday between Indy and Sacramento. CJ McCollum going to the Pelicans, breaking up that backcourt with Damian Lillard that ultimately didn't really do much. And then the Mavs ending the Porzingis project. They're trading him over to the I'm blanking out on the team to the Wizards for Dinwiddie. And then my San Antonio Spurs, finally, looks like they might be committing to the rebuild. They pull off 2 trades. Thaddeus Young, who hadn't been really in the lineup for the past couple of weeks, gets traded for a first-round pick, and Derek White also included in that trade, DeJounte Murray's backcourt mate. And like I said, we're going to get into some other talk along the way. But without further ado, are you guys ready?
Let's
fucking do it, dog.
All right, let's get into it.
Ben can take the lead on this one because that's his boy right there. That's the only reason Ben has a beard, because of this guy.
This is the blockbuster trade. This is about as big as it gets, really, when you talk about superstars kind of in their prime, depending how you guys view each player. They're both, for all intents and purposes, all NBA guys. Nets, they trade James Harden and Paul Millsap, and they get Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and a 2022 first-round pick, and then another first-round pick all the way down the line where I think our kids will be more interested in this pick, the 2028 draft. The Nets also get a first-round pick from the Sixers in this one. Guys, Ben, I want you to comment on this first because you've been talking about this trade happening. Do you think this is a fleecing, or do you see it here for both sides?
That was the big debate, Roland. But first, let's just get to this. Was the obvious trade. This is the one we all knew was going to happen based on Daryl Morey being the GM of the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden was his gem. It's what made Daryl Morey's career. He traded for James Harden from the Thunder to the Rockets. Franchise player, MVP, much success. If he has a chance to get him back, and then with Joel Embiid, the favorite to win MVP at the moment, I mean, bro, like you said, everybody was saying it was a fleece because you see, they gave up Simmons, he wasn't even a pulse for the Sixers. He was a dead body. He wasn't playing. They weren't missing anything with him. And then they give up Seth Curry. I think that's where a lot of people had a problem. But you were either going to have to give with Seth Curry, who's probably, way better than the deal that he's on, knockdown shooter, or one of the young cats in Thibault and Maxey, guys that they actually hit with in the draft that they see potential in. You know what I mean? So it's either you give up the young guys or you give up Seth Curry. They kept some youth on the team. You know what I mean? They kept. It makes sense. It makes sense. Andre Drummond is whatever. Yes, the Nets need a center. Andre Drummond isn't the starting center. He's a guy who doesn't even get minutes in the playoffs. So I don't think that Andre Drummond's relevant. Maybe for that team.
Just for a couple of fouls and some rebounds here and there.
It'll make do, yeah. But honestly, did the 76ers get better here? Yes.
Yeah.
Did the Nets get better here? Yes. Both teams did get better, but, I mean, you got James Harden and Joel Embiid now, bro. The things that can be done with that combo. Yeah. If Doc Rivers don't get this shit right and get Joel Embiid to a finals, Doc Rivers might be on the chopping block, but I think it was a win-win for both teams, honestly. Ben Simmons helps out the Nets a lot. He fits really well for them. He can he can be their Draymond Green for the Nets. That's what he can be. You know what I mean? Just a better point guard. So I like it for both teams. The whole fleecing, like, oh my God, what did the 76ers give up all of that for? They kept their youth, and that's what they valued more. Tyrese Maxey, a lot of people hold him in high regards already. And Thibault, people say that he's the next big defensive star. So,
and you're going to need the defense. You're going to need the defense if you're getting Harden, who everybody likes.
You got Danny Green and Harden up there. Yeah, you're going to need some defense in there.
Not for sure. And I think the thing that a lot of people also are missing is that Ben Simmons was never going to lace it up again for the 76ers. He was never going to play again for them. Never. I mean, so you get him off of your team and you get James Harden to pair him up with Embiid. I'll do that all day. I think both teams got better, but not a fleecing. I do like the Harden and Embiid mix. I saw some people saying that Harden and Dwight Howard didn't necessarily work out so well. I think this is a little bit different. Embiid's a lot more skilled offensively.
Yeah, this is way different.
This is way different. So I definitely like the pairing. I want to see how that works out because Harden's a very skilled passer. And who knows what Embiid's going to be able to do with a guy like Harden. Ron, what's your take on this trade? Are you looking to either of these teams to come out of the East now?
Dude, I fucking love this trade. I love this trade because nobody really got hosed here. You know, if you're Philly, just like Ben said, you had a guy who's on the couch that doesn't want to be in your team. Then you can insert somebody like James Harden, who, let's face it, doesn't want to play defense. But you don't need that on your team. You need some guys who can score, and James Harden can get you there.
Exactly.
You know, for Brooklyn, you have three guys who want the ball. Obviously, that's not working. One guy might not even play because he doesn't want to get his damn shot. So another point to that is if there is Kyrie trouble in the future for him not wanting to get the shot, you still have KD and Simmons who can handle the rock the way Kyrie would kind of handle the rock. They're different sizes. Simmons is bigger, but he's still your point guard. And Kevin Durant,
ball handler.
So Kevin Durant doesn't have to handle the ball all the time. And if you're Brooklyn, you don't want KD having to play both ways, which usually they don't do, but KD's not going to guard your best guy and then go be good on the offensive side. Now you put Simmons, on the other team's best guy. KD can kind of chill, relax, save up some energy, and then go ball out on the offensive side. I love this trade. I really like it a lot. I'm glad that it happened because I'm a James Harden fan a little bit. I mean, you kind of
bit down, Ron.
You're not so much of a hater. You're not so much of a hater on James Harden because he's one of the guys that you hate.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see guys like, well, I guess it's more to me the Joel Embiid side. The guy goes out, he balls, he plays, and he says what's on his mind, and that's what I like about him. You want guys like that in the finals. Those are the guys that you root for, who kind of don't stick to, the script. And that's the way Joel Embiid is. Get this guy to the finals, like Ben said. Get Harden to the finals. Both these teams are in the East, so it can't happen. But you root for guys like this. I'm glad that it happened. I think everybody should be happy. Yeah. Now let's just hope that it goes down the way we think it's going to go down. Hopefully Simmons isn't a problem for Brooklyn the way he was in Philly, which I don't think he will be. And hopefully Harden can stay healthy because don't forget about that hamstring.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say two things before I'll let Ben give his closing thoughts on this before we move on, is that the Nets on one hand. Oh, excuse me, here having some sound troubles. The Nets on one hand, very disappointing. The big three, they only played 16 games together in total.
Mhm.
Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. So very, very disappointing from that aspect. But on the other hand, the one thing I was going to say about this is, shit, I just blanked out. Go ahead. I just blanked out.
In those 16 games, though, they had a really good record in those 16 games that they did.
I was going to say they were 13
13-3.
and 3, yeah.
So, but Roland, just one of the biggest things, and
my bad. I got it. It's in this real sort of quick.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to say is, James Harden already opted in for the next year, and that was a big thing that everybody was talking about. Is that if James Harden only plays for the next couple of months and then he decides to leave, well, then you're screwed and you only got a rental. Well, that goes out of the window because he already opted in for another year. So that's a sign of good faith that he's going to be there for longer than just the next couple of months.
I'm going to say something before Ben closes it out. Somebody sent this in the chat, and you know me, I'm a Bron fan. And when Kyrie was the issue, I said it. Kyrie's a problem. He goes to Boston, he's a problem. He goes to Brooklyn, he's a problem. And you guys sent this in the chat when him and Harden were in the locker room, Kyrie starts lighting up some sage because they were in Cleveland and supposedly there's still bad juju there. And Harden's across the locker from him having this look on his face like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So apparently those guys didn't get along. So that's something else that I kind of like is, get Harden outward from where he doesn't want to be. And we need to address this Kyrie situation, bro. This guy's an issue. That's the main thing. The big three work. They went 13 and 3, but he's the issue. He's the problem, man. And it sucks because we couldn't see this. This was like the most hypothetical big three ever. And we didn't even get to see it come to fruition, bro.
And honestly, I think not having a title really bugs James Harden. And he knew, like, the thing that took over is like, oh, James Harden's a problem now with the Nets. He doesn't want to play. He's injured. Oh, now he's healthy. But, like, all this was because of the way that Kyrie was acting and nobody checking Kyrie. We were talking in the group chat. Kobe or even LeBron, they wouldn't let this shit, slide, bro. We're trying here to win a title. We're in our window. You can only play away games, and that only started, so late in the season. You can't play home games. It's an issue. It's an issue, bro. When KD's hurt and I'm Harden and I'm having to play with Nick Claxton, Blake Griffin, and Patty Mills at home, against the Bucks.
He didn't sign up for that.
Exactly.
Harden didn't sign up for that.
Let KD deal with that shit. Let's hope that they meet up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
These two teams. I want to see that shit.
I was gonna get into this at the end of the show, but I guess it's the most relevant here because we were talking about how the Sixers kept their youth. Is this something that the NBA? You know how the NBA was trending toward big three super teams. Now you're seeing teams that aren't the big three's not working, and then you see the Suns make it to the finals last year. You see the Bucks, make it to the finals last year. So are super teams finally not working? Is it finally not good for the game?
Too many egos might just be a problem, and some guys can't work with it because that's what happened. That's what broke this one up. This whole Kyrie situation of not wanting to be a team player and actually chase this title with this opportunity that they have. Like Roland said, Harden didn't sign up for that, and I think it's just case by case, Ron. To be honest,
I mean, because then you have the AD, the Bron, and the Russ situation that didn't work out either. The Warriors were dominant all those years. Yes, they got Kevin Durant late, but it was the core. It came from the draft. They drafted Curry. They drafted the other Splash brother. I can't Clay. Yeah, Clay. And then they build up that team. Yeah. So maybe we're seeing the end of the whole super team thing, man, because there is a lot of young talent out there. I mean, Cleveland is a prime example. John Morant and the Grizzlies, another prime example of teams that are doing, really well. The Bulls, another team. We don't necessarily maybe need these super teams anymore.
Right. No, you're right.
All right. Well, that was the big blockbuster trade. And before we move on to the next one, it is we talking about sports, and we are here with a NBA pull-up trade deadline special. We're going to be doing these NBA pull-ups throughout the year, but we had to come to you guys today with the trade deadline, and we're breaking it down. And we just got through the first trade. So before we get on to the next one, anything else you guys want to say on this? Or are you guys completely good on this Simmons and Harden trade?
That's it. That's
All
it.
right,
Whoever has an opinion on the trade, drop it in the comment box, bro.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know what's up. We all it's a consensus that we think it's a decent trade, a good trade for both teams. If you think it's a bad trade, let us know.
Yeah.
And then when the season's over, you could come and you could smack us in our face and say, "Man, I told y'all."
Especially because we're going to
bum.
see this matchup in the playoffs, maybe. So we're going to be able to see this stuff come to fruition. All right. Well, let's get on to the next topic.
Boom.
We got.
Damn it. This is
All right,
crazy.
The next trade.
Sacramento fans did not like this.
And this is this is a philosophical thing because Trey Halliburton, he's a player in his second year. Trey Halliburton gets traded for Sabonis along with Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday, all going over to the Kings. Halliburton ending up in Indiana. And the reason why I'm saying this is a philosophical thing is because the Kings, they trade away Halliburton, who's a guy in the second year. They drafted him in the lottery. He's the guy who everybody thinks can be a potential franchise player. Everybody likes his acumen as a point guard.
Not everybody, but most
people. It's almost close to consensus. Everybody likes his current trajectory, the way that things are going in only his second year. But they trade him for a guy who is good right now and is in his prime or entering his prime right now, who is giving you 25 and 12 almost every night. He's that kind of guy, Domantas Sabonis, and he's been doing that for the past 3 years. So the Kings, they trade a guy who's still developing for the most part for a guy who can give them 25 and 12 night in and night out. Ben, do you like the philosophical little change here? Because they do have De'Aaron Fox also in the backcourt, who's a little bit older than Halliburton, been in the league a little while. Are you a fan of the trade? Are you leaning one side here?
Well, I think that for sure the Kings messed up by choosing to trade Halliburton over De'Aaron Fox. I think that Halliburton is your more traditional point guard. I mean, the last game that he played for the Kings, he put up 17 assists against the Thunder. In a game which De'Aaron Fox did 17 assists. So they traded him when his value is pretty high. I know that the only reason it isn't consensus, Roland, is because of the Garzas. You know, the Garza brothers. Markey, I spent about my whole morning, the morning of this trade, trying to convince this fool that I know that he hasn't seen Halliburton play much, but he is that franchise point guard. 17 assists. I mean, I know that there's been guys that are a flash in the past, but this guy was a star player for Iowa State. You know, an Iowa State team who had a decent run, but you could see in college that he was that playmaker. The guy who could get other people involved. He's tall. He's tall for a point guard. I'm glad that he's out of Sacramento. I will say that. I think that they messed up because I think if you would have given him Fox, you would have gotten the same package. And Halliburton with Sabonis, I would have liked more than De'Aaron Fox with Sabonis.
Definitely.
So that's where I think that the Kings went wrong is where when they chose, to trade Halliburton over De'Aaron Fox. And they drafted another point guard, the guy out of Baylor, Mitchell, this past season too. So
Davion Mitchell. Yeah.
They're a very confused franchise. Good for Halliburton. He's out of there. Rick Carlisle hopefully can develop him into a pretty good point guard over there in Indiana.
Yeah, Halliburton's one of those guys that you had to have league pass, either be a Kings fan or just gotta know about him in order to have watched him. What about you, Ron? You're wearing purple, not so much the Sacramento purple, but what do you think about this Halliburton trade?
This trade was only in the headlines because of the names, because of the potential that Halliburton has. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a backroom trade. Nobody's, there's no contention for these teams to make it, and Halliburton's not going to add anything to the Indiana that's going to get them to that next level, and vice versa. Sabonis did debut last night. He had a hell of a game.
Yeah, even then, it's 25 and 12, 25 and 10, something like that.
Exactly, man. And both teams aren't really going anywhere regardless of it. The only thing that I can think what Ben said was this is a player in his second year who didn't want to be there and wanted to get out.
No, he wanted to be there.
He wanted to be there.
He wanted to be there. Quite the contrary. He wanted to be there.
I wanted him out of there.
He wanted to be there. So that's even worse for the Kings. They trade away a guy who wants to be there.
Who wanted to be there, but a second-year guy, or I don't know if this guy's in his second year because he's been there so much. No. The guy that I'm gonna say, my boy, my new LeBron that I said I was gonna start following, my boy Zion. He's like, if Trey could go, why can't I go?
Oh no, he's in his third year. Wait,
get me out of here.
I think Zion is in his third year, but it just a weird trade, like you said, backroom trade, just because neither team's going anywhere. But but the weird thing is the Kings could have drafted Sabonis, and they passed him up, for I forget who. That's not even on the team anymore. So it's the Kings are. You go there to die.
Gets me with the Kings is, and I guess I think the Pacers won this trade because I like them getting Halliburton, a point guard who I think can be there for the next 10 years for them if they play it right, and his trajectory keeps on going the way that it is. Is the Kings that they give up that potential in Halliburton for a guy in Sabonis that he's already giving you his best right now. I don't know how much better Sabonis is going to get than what he is right now. He's a great player. He's a top 15, top 20 player in the league right now. But he's been that, and where have his teams gone? Like, I just think he puts up a lot of numbers, and it's just been marginal impact. I don't know if the Kings are going to get another guy in the offseason, but for this season, like Ron's saying, it's not going to do much for them. It's just I'd rather keep the youth over making a move like that.
And then you send Trey, man. You sent him to play with guys like Chris Duarte, who we had last night on a Prize Picks, who went off. Lance Stevenson is there, Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon. So if you're just picking a winner and a loser, I say Pacers definitely won this trade.
Yeah.
So I'll just close it with that.
Yeah,
we talking about sports consensus right there. Well, Pacers won this trade. All right, let's get on to the next trade. And again, we talking about sports. This is an NBA pull-up trade deadline special. I keep on wanting to combine those words.
From Texas.
All right, another big trade, big name, definitely. CJ McCollum, 29, 30-year-old guard, established in the league, around 22 points per game career-wise. He is was a part of that backcourt with Damian Lillard that they only yielded, I think it was a second round entrance once, I think, or twice. A couple times they got to the second round.
They got to the Western Conference Finals, and they got swept.
Okay, there you go. That was the furthest they got, Western Conference Finals. He gets traded to the Pels in a pretty big deal, 7 players total. McCollum, Larry Nance, and Tony Snell go to New Orleans, who are currently 10th in the West. And Portland gets Josh Hart, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's Shea Alexander-Walker's cousin, Thomas Satoransky, Didi Louzada, and 3 draft picks. Where do you guys lean on this one? It's sad to see Damian Lillard and McCollum break up. I know that was a famed backcourt. A lot of guys liked it, but really didn't lead to a lot of championships or whatever. Yeah, it was one of those things that needed to happen. Ben, what do you think about this, man?
I'm just going to set it up for Ron real quick because he's talking about Zion. He owns a Pels jersey. So, Ron, my thing is this move, and I think that they did get him a little cheap in CJ McCollum, bucket getter, 20 points a night. They already have Ingram. Ron, is this enough to entice Zion to want to stay?
Maybe for another year or two. But, I mean, I don't think long-term he wants to be there. He wants to go to a big market team. And, I mean, I get
to get on the court and play.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say.
I think he's sitting out to get traded, Roland.
Can't be. He has to be kind of hurt, dude. And he's like 300 pounds. That is real trouble.
But he's not trying because he just wants to get traded.
Shit. If I were him, I think otherwise. Having that weight on is not good.
Yeah, I mean, just to answer your question, I mean, I think maybe it keeps him around, but is it anything that's going to really entice him to want to hit the gym, lose weight, start doing the drills after practice, put the donuts down on that? No.
The Doritos. He's in some Doritos commercials.
But to your point, yeah, he's the one with the Zach LaVine and the Mountain Dew. But to your point, man, I mean, he can't really talk too much shit because he hasn't done anything on the court NBA wise. I mean, he had that big game when he came back and was hitting 3 after 3, all that stuff like last year or something. But not a proven guy. Zion needs to get on the court. You never know. Can they make a run? Can they make it to the playoffs? Yes. For CJ McCollum, though, I mean, you want to go to a contender. I mean, if you're going to leave, go to a contender, man. I know it's not up to him, but if I'm CJ McCollum, I'm probably telling myself, shit, I should just stay in Portland if I'm going to go over here with the Pels because it's
playing range.
Yeah, I mean,
he really didn't go down or up in the standings.
Yeah,
about the same range this year.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he gets to handle the rock. He gets out of a little more. He gets out of Dame's shadow. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's another kind of wash trade, man. What do you think, Ben?
Well,
I kind of like. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
I'm just gonna say in my last piece on this, I think that it's crazy that this trade was structured around Josh Hart, and that's kind of where the value is for CJ McCollum at this point. Like we said, this was something that needed to happen probably 2 years ago, if not, longer than that. So the Pelicans tried, a small market team. They went out and got a 20-plus point scorer. They got CJ. They got Ingram. They got Valanciunas. They got Zion. Let's just put them all on the court, and that's not that bad of a team, bro.
It's not. It's
kind of like I'll compare it to the way the T-Wolves, tried to build their team. You know what I mean? Like bringing over D'Angelo Russell was kind of that game changer for them. Maybe CJ could be it for the Pelicans.
You never know, man.
I'm interested. That's what I'll leave it on. I'm interested.
There you go. What it is? I guess I'll ask this to Roland. What does this do for the Blazers? You were at the beginning of the show. You opened with rebuild for the Spurs. Yeah. I mean, this is a huge guy for the Blazers. He's not the guy. Dame is the guy, obviously. But what does this mean for the Blazers, man? Getting guys like Josh Hart and
But before I answer the question, I will get to that. But I do kind of like it for the Pels because I think they get a consistent scorer in McCollum, and if they're going to be in that play-in range, they're going to need another guy. They got guys like Devontae Graham. Currently, they need a guy like CJ McCollum that they can count on with Brandon Ingram there. So his scoring efforts don't go in vain every night. So kind of like it for the Pels. But anyways, to Portland, I do think they're kind of embracing the rebuild because, like Ben said, the deal was centered around Josh Hart. They do get a 2022 protected first-round pick. So that means if the Pels finish 1 through 4, they keep their pick. But otherwise, it goes to Portland. And 1 through 4, I mean, they end up with one of the top 4 picks. They'll get to keep it. But otherwise, Portland will get a first-round pick for next year. But anyways,
who's the winner here?
The winner for me, I guess, right now would be the Pelicans because I think they get another guy who's going to help them immediately for their playoff race because maybe they're hoping for Zion to come back at some point and they get in the play in and they try and win. They're a team that's saying, hey, we're not done this year. We're going to try and win and trying to get McCollum. And they also do get Larry Nance and the guy, the meme himself, Tony Snell, 000. I know they do get him in this too. So they're going to try and compete. And that's what it says for New Orleans. So I like that. I think they win right now. But Portland, they win in a sense because they're already heading in a new direction. And you got to respect that when a team does that. So right now I'm going to give it to the Pelicans, though, because they're trying to compete this year. And so what have you done for me lately kind of thing. So I'll go for the Pels.
Got you.
Yeah, it freed up space for this summer for the Blazers to try and fix the situation, pair up a star with Dame. We'll see what they do.
I was going to say with Dame, do you think Dame ends up staying? He says that he's sad to see him go, but he's still going to stay with the Blazers. He loves the Blazers. That was his most recent statement this week. Do you think he ends his career Blazer?
I don't know about ends his career. Let's see if he doesn't do the James Harden and get a guy to come over and after a year, dump him and bounce. But he's going to have his choice of some guys this summer. Let's see if he can convince somebody to come play with him.
That'd be funny if he gets Paul George to go play with him.
They have the coin for it, so let's see what he does.
Yeah, very good point.
What about you, Ron? Do you think he finishes his carear real quick?
Hell no, man. Hell no. This dude should have left 2 years ago, bro. I mean, he gave up a lot of money, I'm sure, in that free agency 2 years ago to say like I'm from Portland and this and that. Yeah, bro. And then next year he came out saying, he was kind of taking back his words. So I think 2 years ago he should have left. I mean, with guys like Ben McLemore, Nasir Little, Simmons is okay, but he's still
Simmons turning out to be a nice little piece.
Yeah, he's still super young. Justice Winslow, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, you're not gonna win with those guys, bro. Just bounce like CJ did. Go to a contender and just try to get your ring. And the only reason I'm saying that is because Dame's been in the league for a minute already.
He has. He's paid his dues. He has paid his dues.
I mean, what else do you owe that team and that city, man?
I don't even think we see Dame for the rest of the season. I think he's let's get the summer rolling. Let me start recruiting and let's see what we can get doing. If nothing happens this summer, then y'all know I'm out, and y'all are gonna have to do right by me because, like Ron said, he's done everything he can for that city.
Yeah, he should be out regardless.
And they'll do right by him. We've seen all these guys get their way, man. Look at Ben Simmons. He ended up with the fucking Nets.
No shit.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
After Dame waved bye-bye to Paul George when he hit that 3 over him, he should have just waved bye-bye to Portland too and ended on the fucking high note and rode out of there on that 3 because he got
definitely
swept, and he's never had a big win after that.
Definitely a lot of big moments in Portland for both of these guys, and it's probably going to come to an end soon. At least for one, it's already come to an end. We'll see about Dame later on. But moving on to the next trade or the next transaction that happened today.
This was a watch bomb that nobody expected. Not
that crazy of a trade. It was an unexpected one, though, as Ben is saying. For those of you guys who are watching us here on YouTube, Porzingis and Dinwiddie are up here. Porzingis goes to the Wizards, and Dinwiddie goes over to the Mavericks to, I guess, pair up with Luka in that backcourt. Ben, you're a little surprised. Do you like this for either side, or are you just like WTF for both sides?
I mean, the Washington Wizards need to sell some tickets. Porzingis in DC, he kind of fits in with all those politicians, this foreign fuck. But Dinwiddie, I don't think that he does much. We know that he wasn't liked much in the Wizards locker room. He said that he tried to be a voice when he got there. People didn't really take it too well. So he's just sitting back and playing basketball. He had to get out of there. This is a salary dump for the Mavs. I think they're gearing up for the summer with this. Porzingis was hurt.
They gear up every summer.
I know. But they always gear up, and they had that Porzingis contract in their hands. Now they don't have it. Dinwiddie, you looked up his contract. It was like 3 for $52. It's a little bit better of a deal. They can go and get somebody this summer. And like I said, they've been playing well without Porzingis, and they were like, hey, we can finally get him off the books. Let's do it. Because he's never – this is
often
street
injured
clothes.
When you need him.
Yeah, this is street clothes, man, right here.
Yeah.
So, not much to it, just salary dump.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you get a guy in Dinwiddie when he's been healthy, he's been a pretty serviceable player. You already know what the team can do when you got Luka there. So, they're going to get him help. I know it's more of a salary dump on getting Porzingis out of there. And I just like getting rid of a guy who's often injured in Porzingis. You can't really count on him, and you're paying him that much money. Really can't have that happen. Hopefully he's healthier the rest of his career, but unfortunately wasn't so for Dallas. What do you think about this trade, Ron? Another backroom trade?
Yeah.
Is this real help for Luka the God, Ron? Is this real help or
it's just, the first thing that comes to mind is just that's a shitload of guards, bro, for the Mavs. They have
they already got Jalen Brunson.
They got Jalen Brunson, Luka. Now they have Dinwiddie, Hardaway Jr. still there. Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a power forward, but they don't really have a big guy, so
they need a center, bro.
I just don't know with some of these trades, man. You're just you know what the perfect word for this is? A lot of these trades feel forced, man. They're just forced.
Yeah.
Some of them are salary cap dumps, but that's what happens when you get players who you pay a stupid amount of money to and they don't perform. We saw, what was it? Was it like 2-3 years ago when guys like was it I might be wrong. Was it Parsons or who was that? Chandler Parsons.
He recently retired.
Dude, that guy he got like a stupid fucking contract.
From the Mavs.
From the Mavs too.
He got the
bag.
Dude,
and it's just like I just don't know, man. It just
They
going
get paid
back
off of
to
one
my
season.
point,
They get paid off of
yeah,
a season, and
just
then they try
going
and
back to my point, man, I think that this just be that it might be bad for the game. It might be bad for the game paying these guys so much money and trying to do all these super teams.
I mean, nah, you got to take chances on paying guys. Not every guy's gonna pan out. Not every guy's gonna pan out.
No,
Ron,
watch, look,
to
okay,
be a
look.
guy.
Last
They
year,
get
okay,
paid too much, Ron. They get paid too much.
look, the NBA is kind of turning into the fucking MLB where players are getting traded all the time. We talked about it last week when the Memphis Grizzlies had like a special at the arena where if you showed up in another player's jersey, they gave you a free John Moran jersey or a free, a player's team.
Yeah.
And you want to build your squad, and that's the only way that you're going to get fans involved. If you keep rotating these players around, how are you going to create a fan base? And creating a fan base is what creates, money and finances for the league. If you have all these players moving around, you're going to have fans being like, it's all about the money. These guys are prima donnas. They don't give a fuck. So I think all this is bad for the game. And going back to my point, I don't know if we see this much longer. We might see the draft having a lot more, get a lot more serious.
I agree. As far as the draft will always maintain some value. It's kind of weird that it's only 2 rounds in the NBA, but it's different because there's only five guys on the starting lineup. But the player movement to me, I don't think it's so bad, Ron. There's a lot of short-term contracts in the NBA. We see a lot of guys with 1 to 2 year deals, 1 year with a 2 year opt-in. And, player movement, I don't know. I just don't think it's as bad as you think. You're going to miss on some guys. You're going to miss on some guys. Not every guy is going to turn out to be what you think he is off of 1 or 2 seasons that you're paying him in free agency. Like some of these guys that we are seeing here traded. Like both of these guys, Dinwiddie gets paid in free agency from the Nets off of a year that he had. I mean, from the Nets, by the Wizards, off of a year that he had with the Nets. Averaged 21 points a game that year. Gets paid. Bubble is injured much of the next year. And then Porzingis, he had a couple good years or a year or 2 with the Knicks. Got hurt. Mavs signed him, hoping that he gets back to what he was, and it didn't work out. But player movement, I don't know. I'm fine with it. Soccer, you see a lot of guys move teams, and fans are dedicated to the team. You just want to see your team. For me, at least, the way that I stay engaged is as long as I see my team's trying something, I'll be engaged. Like as long as they're not staying on the sidelines, like your Lakers staying on the sidelines, not doing anything. I'll be happy with my squad, and I'll stay repping the black and silver.
Porzingis wasn't the answer, and they had been shopping him for a while. They just hadn't been able to get rid of him. They finally pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going on the other side of the coin, he's not a terrible fit for the Wizards, who have guys like Bradley Beal and some other smaller guards. And, maybe getting a big man, even though he doesn't play the typical center position, he does put up the 3 a lot as well. You can't really hate that move. So
I think they're going to hope for him to play. They're going to hope for him to play because they just traded Montrezl Harrell.
Look at his face, though. He looks like he belongs in DC, bro.
That's why I picked that picture right there, bro. Because he's like, what the fuck just happened? I was just with my boy Luca over here. So now I gotta go watch it.
What else we got?
Let's get to Roland's team because he's been talking shit about the Lakers. So hey, let's go to Mr. Rebuild over here.
Mr. Rebuild, and that's fine. I'll take it. Hopefully it's a good rebuild because I think these moves today, to me at least, confirms that the Spurs are loading up for the draft this year. They're including the pick that they have with the moves that they've made today. They have 3 picks in this draft, so they traded Derek White to Boston for Richardson, or is it Josh Richardson? And Romeo Langford and a 2022 first-round pick, and they also trade Thaddeus Young and Drew Eubanks. Thaddeus Young really hadn't been playing much. They trade him to Toronto for Goran Dragic and a 2022 first-round pick. Dragic more than likely going to get bought out, so we're not going to see him suit up for the Spurs. Second time that's happened in his career, from what I was reading, that he's been traded to the Spurs and doesn't end up playing. So I'm fine with it as a fan, embracing the rebuild. We were talking about it off air. I'd much rather my franchise commit one way or the other either they're going to compete hard and they're going to sell out and try and get players. In the NBA, you talk about teams that sell out, like, the Nets have been doing it, the Lakers,
The process.
Of the process, they sell out, or, you do the process. And I'm fine with that. It looks like the Spurs are opting to do that. Oh, what the heck's going on here?
Ben, what do you think about that tweet? You're a Twitter guy at BigPop44. What do you think about that tweet that Murray posted out there?
Specifically Twitter. I mean, he put it says the WTF with the Kevin Hart gif, but I just don't think that he expected Derek White to get traded. I think that he expected to possibly, shoot for that play-in game. He's a guy who's a first-year All-Star. He feels like the team is on his shoulders. He obviously wants them to succeed. And this trade and trading Derek White, I mean, I don't know who exactly is going to jump into the starting lineup in his spot. I don't know if it's going to be Vassell, one of their recent first-round draft picks, or who it's going to be. But they're clearly just trying to get that playing time for the younger guys, get those accumulate those draft picks, and try and go off this summer in the NBA draft, which is a pretty good draft, from most people's perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys like Keldon Johnson also there, Zach Collins, who was decent with the Blazers, but
barely started playing this month.
Yeah, total rebuild. Lonnie Walker, who a lot of guys liked as well.
Been a big whiff this year.
Can't come through, huh? Hey, Pop. No. Okay, let's go to Pop. Ben, what do you think about Pop's situation now? Because I know Roland's gonna have a take on it. So we're gonna hold that to then. But what do you think about Pop? I mean, 2 years ago, last year, we thought that he was going to retire. We thought that he was done, once the Tony Parkers left and the Manu Ginobili's, and he tried a couple years and it wasn't working. So what do you think now? What does Pop do?
It's surprising to see him, at this stage in his career, old as hell. Pop, go for the rebuild, because that's clearly what's happening. So to see him, embracing the rebuild, do I think that he sticks around? I mean, I don't know, but this had to have been run by him. You know what I mean? They wouldn't do Pop this dirty, so they definitely ran it by him. And it is a rebuild. You don't accumulate this many first-round draft picks unless it is a rebuild. That's what this is. And Roland was calling for it, for about a year ago. They just got to go full-on tank mode, get one of these premier draft picks, top 10 guys like they had in the past. That's what made the Spurs, David Robinson, Tim Duncan, those top picks.
I like it. Very true. Future cornerstone of your franchise, hopefully. And they get three guys, and to answer your question, Ron, on the Pop thing, I think Pop's whole thing this year has just been to leave the Spurs in a better place when he does decide to leave, because I think it's pretty much known that he's gonna walk away. If it's not this year, it's for sure gonna be next year. I don't think he's gonna be around for the rebuild whenever that happens. It's probably gonna be, like I said, this year or next year that he walks away, and he's just trying to get them set up. Like, he doesn't want to leave them with a roster in turmoil. He's trying to get them as many draft picks, like we're saying here, or like we're seeing here, and trying to get them ready to rebuild as soon as possible. And it's unfortunate for DeJounte, because like Ben's saying, he's having a career year. He's an all-star. He's going to be the only Spurs representative at All-Star Weekend this year.
Finally, too, though.
It's shout out to DeJounte Murray for having a great year. But unfortunately, it's probably not going to lead to much. But hopefully with these three picks, one of them is a top 3 pick I'm hoping for, crossing my fingers. Hopefully we get one of these top 3 picks, and maybe this guy can be an instant impact person, like we're seeing Evan Mobley impact the game for Cleveland. I know they've done a bunch of other things with their roster, and it's not just them drafting Mobley, but it's a start. And if you get a guy like that to pair with DeJounte Murray, you have something to work with, along with the young guys that they have, and Keldon Johnson and Vassell, who I think are going to be around for a little while for the Spurs to go there with DeJounte.
Portal.
So I have hopes, but you just got to hope for the draft, and hopefully they do some work there, because
we were talking about
first time in a while that I've been excited about a Spurs draft, when you talk about 3 potentially in the top 20 this year.
And we haven't even talked about it. Well, we did a little bit off cam, but What do you think about the players that they got? Is there any value there? With Richardson, with Langford.
Roland, do you like any of those guys? I think Roland froze on us.
He froze. Oh, yeah, I was like, man, he's not even moving.
I can hear you.
Okay.
My headphones just died.
Oh, okay.
What we were saying was, like, do you like any of the players that the Spurs got in the trade, but Richardson or Langford?
I mean, Richardson's pretty good. I mean, he's a 40% 3-point shooter. I think I saw a stat going around. He's 39% on the year. So he's a guy who can step in and hit the occasional three, but nothing that moves the needle. It's nothing that's going to, keep the Spurs floating around the 9 or the 10 spot. But yeah.
How was that game that you went to last week? Compliments of Big Pat 44 down here.
It was pretty nice. I can't complain at all. The tickets were very, very, very well situated. Had a good view. Got to see a good team. I think I want to say that the Heat, they were fully staffed. They didn't have anybody out for the night. So I got to see Jimmy Butler. I got to see Bam Adebayo. Nice. It was a good night. The Spurs, they didn't really compete. I did take the Heat in the second half while I was there. So nice. I kind of faded the Spurs while I was watching them because I kind of had the sense that they weren't going to come out in the second half and compete. And I won a little bit while I was there. So
one good thing about a rebuild is that seats will be cheap if it's your home team.
Seats are going to be cheap the rest of the year. Seats might be cheap the rest of the year.
Hey, Roland, is it a little bit bittersweet because you were calling for the rebuild that finally, I know Spurs fans have been waiting for DeJounte Murray to take this jump because, they've been seeing it for the last 2-3 years, and maybe it took an extra year for him to finally take the jump, but he's finally the guy, and then they commit to the rebuild. How do you feel about that at all?
I mean, I think it's bittersweet in the sense that, DeJounte Murray did take that next step, and it's kind of going to be in vain because the team's not going to win very many games, but that's a very small percentage of what I'm feeling right now as a fan. Because like I said earlier, I'd very much rather the Spurs commit to, saying, hey, we're going to rebuild. We're going to try and accumulate some young talent that can eventually help us turn this thing around and get us back to, those 21 straight years of making the playoffs, having the best winning percentage in basketball over the past couple of years. So trying to get back to that, and I think this is the way you do it. But DeJounte Murray, hopefully the turnaround is quick because we do have him under contract for the next couple of years and don't want to lose him and not have anything to show for it. But
hopefully it's a Darius Garland situation. It's a quick rebuild. They get those pieces around him and let Murray succeed.
Yeah, because Murray, he's a good player, and he's going to be a guy that's sought after too. If the Spurs don't watch out, he's going to be a guy that people look at and try and add on their team. The thing that's scary. He is signed to Clutch Sports. He is signed to LeBron Sports Agency. I gotta watch out for that. The writing might
Murray for Russ this summer, cuz.
Yeah, you never know. And you know what,
dude? I would. I like Russell Westbrook. I liked him from his days in OKC. But if that were to happen, I would die of a heart attack wherever I'd be.
But damn, man, all right. So that was pretty much the trade action. A lot of backroom trades. Obviously, the blockbuster was Harden to Simmons. Other than that, man, I mean, it was just a show that we had to do. There was a lot of info, a lot of trades, and it's fun. It's fun. I know I kind of said it that I don't like to see players move around a lot, but hey, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Yeah. I don't see. I'm tired of seeing Kyrie with all his money, man. He ain't do shit. But yeah, man. I mean, any last takes that you guys have on this trade deadline?
That's all I got. I'm ready to see the second half of the season play out, and I just really hope we get that 76ers against Nets 7-game playoff series, bro.
That would be intense. That would be great.
Ben Simmons visiting Philadelphia, The Nets do play the 76ers in Philly, like the first week of March. People are already saying Ben Simmons isn't going to play in that game. We'll see. but I would love to see him go in there for a playoff series. That would be a movie.
You think Simmons has been Rick Ross and Kobe, like, she ain't see me shooting in the gym?
Nah, hell nah. He's not coming back with no Jimmy, cuz hell nah. They're talking about it's gonna take him some time to get back, and they're trying to get him back to playing this season. So we won't see him till probably mid-March after the Nets visit the Sixers in Philadelphia, guaranteed.
Yeah, he'll come back after that.
That's all I got though about the trade deadline.
Yeah. That's it, bro. I'm excited for it. Let's see, what happens. Pretty much the only thing we're going to look forward to is, just like Ben said, the Harden and the Philadelphia and the Simmons situation, and see how that ends up. That was a blockbuster trade. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Follow us, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, everything. Comment, let us know if we know what we're talking about. Let us know if you totally disagree with what the hell we're talking about. And just drop some comments, man. And let's, create a little community here. And hey, we're just 4 dudes from Texas, from the RGV.
Sunday there'll be 4 dudes, right? Roland, Sunday Super Bowl podcast or what?
Sunday we got the Super Bowl podcast. We're gonna put a cap on our season-long Sunday sit-down, Sunday morning sit-down. This
long journey.
It's been a fun journey. Journey. We started at week 1, and we've been going in, and we've even thrown in some Thursday night football along the way. But yeah, it all comes to an end. The reason why we've been doing it's a Super Bowl. Bengals, Rams, LA, second home team to play just right after the Bucks did it. Playing in Tampa. That's crazy. Remember the Cowboys talked about potentially playing in Jerry World 2.0.
As a thank you, man. As a thank you to everybody who's watching, we're gonna do a little contest for the Super Bowl. It's 10 questions. We're gonna cut a little promo for it, so it'll be up on all our social media platforms. We will give out, a couple prizes, maybe like a little, I don't know. Ben, I like that shirt that you're wearing there.
Yeah, we'll give away a T-shirt we'll do a Super Bowl prop contest. We'll put out the link. We'll fill out ours live Sunday. 10 props for the Super Bowl to keep everybody engaged. Yeah. Looking for something to look forward to.
Gotta have the national anthem on there.
Definitely a prop, but we're
gonna flip national anthem or mandatory, and Gatorade color.
Mandatory. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Everybody who always listens, our top fans, thank you very much for continuing to listen to us. If you're new, please please subscribe, show us some love. Thank you for listening to us, and we appreciate all the love. Join the contest, win a free T-shirt, rock a little We Talking About Sports swag, represent, take a picture with it, whatever it is. We enjoy it, man. We love the fan interaction. That's what we love the most. So thank you guys for everything.
We'll see y'all Sunday.
Yeah, see you guys on Sunday.
Peace.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Me. Bam, bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.